pundits have said Vice President Harris won. And so to get this statement today from the campaign chair saying that essentially that the Vice President has accepted CNN's invitation to a debate on October 23rd. We knew there had been discussions about potentially another debate. Now we understand that the campaign, at least this Harris campaign, has accepted this debate for October 23rd, saying that the American people deserve another opportunity to see Vice President Kamala Harris and Donald Trump debate before they cast their ballots. This debate would happen roughly 2 weeks before Election Day. We knew that there had been some concern that the last time that we would see a debate would be the vice presidential debate on October 1st between J.D. Vance and Tim Walz, CBS debate, and there was some conversation around the idea of that being the last time that the American people would get to hear from the number twos on the tickets here, and that they would need to hear again from the nominees, the presidential nominees. And in this statement from the campaign chair, it does say that it would be unprecedented in modern history for there to be just one general election debate. We understand that the rules for this CNN debate would be the same as they were for the last CNN debate that featured former President Trump and President Biden. That's according to this statement. And so we have yet to see whether the Trump campaign is going to accept that debate date. We know that former President Trump had said several times that there would not be a third debate. He's going to hold a rally this evening, as you pointed out a few minutes ago, Alex, and we will see if he talks about the idea of another debate there or if we hear from the campaign about whether they've accepted or won't accept this CNN debate in October.
But let me just ask you about the rules. You mentioned them. These are the same rules that Donald Trump agreed to in June, the same experience, if you will. He was all over that. He claimed that he won. He approved of the moderators and the rules and the like. I know you can't speculate in Donald Trump what he's going to do, but it would seem that everything is set up for him to accept this, despite what he's been saying, because he did walk back a little bit, didn't he? After saying, I'm not going to do any more debates, there will be no more debate. Then he said, well, if I'm in the right mood, whatever that means.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. There was this uncertainty about where exactly the candidate stands on this idea of another debate. He posted on his social media site that there would not be a third debate after the last one. And you're right. The rules for the CNN debate and the rules for the ABC debate ultimately were essentially the same rules. The Harris campaign had pushed for open microphones during the back and forth, and that was something that they really thought would create an opportunity to see Donald Trump without a filter, without the mic being muted while he might say something under his breath. We saw when the debate actually happened that the microphones were opened quite a bit to allow that back and forth between the two candidates. And so, as you noted, the debate rules are what they are, and we'll see if we get a response from the former president.
Okay, Aaron, thank you so much for that. Let's go right now to Dasha Burns, who is in Wilmington, North Carolina. That's where Donald Trump is expected to speak in about an hour. Speaking of speaking, my friend, what do you think about this from the Harris campaign? I mean, again, what we've been going over, the fact that he said no, he's not going to do another debate, and yet the rules around this one exactly mirror those that he seemed to have enjoyed back in June. What's your best guess on this one?
Well, we actually, Alex, just heard from one of the spokespeople for the Trump campaign. We asked his response to this announcement from the Harris-Walz campaign. They pointed us back to that Truth Social post that Aaron mentioned, that there will be no third debate. So sticking by that for now, but I'll tell you, in recent weeks, there's been moments where his staff has assumed he was going to do one thing and then he does another. So we'll see now that this is starting to settle in, that Harris has proposed this debate and this date of October 23rd, if he might change his mind and decide to do it again. I mean, after the last one, he claimed he won the debate and there was no need for another one. Of course, polls show something a little bit different in terms of who did or didn't win. Regardless, there is some sense of, on the Trump campaign, that there might not be much use to another debate between Trump and Harris.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, we know you're at that rally. Are the rally goers there, Dasha, expecting Donald Trump to comment on the Mark Robinson scandal?
Well, look, former President Trump won this state in both 2016 and 2020, and it really is a must-win this time around. But there is concern from Republicans across the board that the embattled Republican gubernatorial candidate might be a drag on the ticket. At the same time, Harris has been pounding the pavement, Alex. She's hit 2 battleground states yesterday, trying to keep up that momentum. Watch. Vice President Kamala Harris hitting 2 battlegrounds Friday with an event centered on reproductive rights in Marietta, Georgia.
This is a health care crisis, and Donald Trump is the architect of this crisis.
And a rally in Madison, Wisconsin. While former President Trump prepares to stump in swing state North Carolina today, a must-win for his campaign.
It's very hard for us to win unless we're able to get North Carolina.
But polls show a tightening race, and Mr. Trump is facing new headwinds. Republican gubernatorial candidate Mark Robinson under fire after a bombshell CNN report revealed a slew of alleged lewd comments on a pornography website from a decade ago, including calling himself a black Nazi and a perv and embracing slavery. He's denying the allegations and staying in the race.
You know my words, you know my character, and you know that I have been completely transparent in this race and before.
But Mr. Trump's allies worry he could be a drag on the ticket. And sources tell NBC News North Carolina's Republican Senators Tom Tillis and Ted Budd, along with members of the Trump campaign, are urging him to pull his endorsement of Robinson, as the Harris campaign is already out with a new ad looking to tie Mr. Trump to Robinson.
I've been with him a lot. I've gotten to know him, and he's outstanding.
Donald Trump and Mark Robinson. They're both wrong for North Carolina.
This all comes as voting is officially underway. In Minnesota, Virginia, and South Dakota, voters can now begin casting their ballots.
I decided to vote early because, first of all, the candidates asked us to do that, and it would help the campaign for people to be able to take the temperature of how things are going.
The Harris campaign is recommending that we get out early.
Alex, despite those calls from allies, the former president does not have plans to rescind his endorsement of Robinson as of now, Alex, and he will not be at the rally here today, though it'll be interesting to see if the former president does make any comment about him.
Yes, I know you're going to be keeping a close eye and ear on that, and you'll let us know. Thank you so much, Dasha. Let's bring in Hugo Lowell, senior political correspondent for The Guardian. Welcome to you. And before we get to discussion about the Mark Robinson situation, how do you read this announcement for the Harris-Walz camp that she has accepted CNN's invitation to another debate on October 23rd? Did this suddenly come about?
Look, the Harris campaign for weeks now have said they're open to debating Trump again. In fact, they said it the night of the first debate between Trump and Harris. And so I think this is something that Harris has been pushing for some time. And it's a kind of a way to goad Trump into seeing if he will take the bait again. She was very good at this on the night of the ABC debate. And people around the Harris campaign have made very clear that if they can get Trump back on the stage, they think they can win again. Trump has vacillated back and forth on whether he should debate again. There are a lot of advisors who think he should just go ahead and do it because there hasn't been a moment in the race where Trump has been able to cut through really past Harris. Harris still kind of has the momentum, even if it's slowed. And so they see the need for another event. On the flip side, Trump is very reluctant. He has said over and over again that he doesn't want to debate Harris again. And so I think there is always this issue now of Trump wanting to do something and his advisors wanting to do something else. Well,
but to your point, he did vacillate a little bit. He left open the door right. He said, if I'm in the right mood, whatever that means. But that said, let's just reiterate that this CNN debate that Kamala Harris has agreed to on October 23rd, it involves the exact same rules that Donald Trump did agree to in the June debate. They include the praise, the moderators, the rules, the ratings, all those things. Those are things that he had said, I did so well, and he was very, very pleased with his performance on that one. So given your sense of the Trump campaign, which you have gotten to know well with all of your reporting, do you think they will encourage him to participate in this debate, Hugo?
I think it's an open question. Look, there are different factions inside Trump world who think different things. There are certainly people around him, certainly at the top of the leadership of the campaign, who think another debate will be a massive risk. That much has been clear from that previous debate. There are also people around the fringes who are kind of raring for a fight and have really been pressing Trump kind of unofficially to debate Harris again, and this time not miss any opportunities to stick it to her on what they think is the winning point on policy. And so it's a faction war. And I think how this will play out will be also instructive on how the campaign's direction will be in the final 50 days of this race.
Hey, just FYI, we have a freeze on your camera, but we can hear you just fine, so we're going to plow ahead with you, Hugo. So look, Donald Trump has not just given Mark Robinson his endorsement. He has been singing his praises about what a great guy he is. How is the Trump camp reacting to this controversy? It is in a state they cannot afford to lose in November.
Yeah, look, whether or not this has an effect on the top of the ballot is going to be the most interesting thing, right? Typically, we talk about Trump potentially having an effect down ballot, and whether Trump's incendiary remarks or his controversial comments or whatever he does on the trail impacts the down ballot candidates. And that has certainly been the case in places like Arizona, Nevada, and these other battleground states. With respect to North Carolina, I think there is a cautious optimism inside the Trump campaign that this won't rise, that people will see Mark Robinson as Mark Robinson. And if Trump stays away from the state, then that will be the best thing for him to do, because the moment Trump pulls his endorsement, which is what some advisors have been asking him to do, they know it will tank that race, and they're not sure if they want to go down that route. What they're doing in the meantime is to make sure that Trump isn't associated at all with Mark Robinson. They have no plans to have Trump in the state. They have no plans, at least to campaign with Mark Robinson. And they have this issue of, the moment he starts doing interviews in North Carolina, he's going to be asked about this. And so they're keeping a very tight lid on the amount of media interactions, funnily enough, that Trump is going to have with local news networks, which of course was their whole strategy. They wanted to be like, we do a lot of local interviews and Kamala Harris doesn't. And so that's another dynamic that's playing out. Yeah,
absolutely. And speaking of no plans, I just want to confirm, you've also heard there are no plans for Mark Robinson to step aside, right?
Right. As far as we understand, Mark Robinson is going to stand the race. He has communicated that to the Trump campaign, which is partly why there's this freak out inside Trump world that if he continues to weather controversy, it could start to impact Donald Trump.
Okay. We got your picture back just in time to say thank you and goodbye, my friend. We'll see you again soon. Thank you. Meantime, more now on the ballot counting changes in Georgia. Let's go to NBC's Priya Sridhar, who's outside the state capitol in Atlanta. Priya, welcome. So what exactly are these changes and how are people there reacting?
Yeah, Alex. Well, the one that everyone seems to be talking about is the one that would require 3 different poll workers to hand count all of the ballots on election night in every single precinct across the state of Georgia to basically cross-reference what the voting machines were tabulating. And the real concern here is that that could delay the certification process of the election results come November. Of course, as we know, Joe Biden won the state back in 2020 by less than 12,000 votes. And all signs are pointing to this next election cycle being just as close as the last one. And in an unprecedented move, Alex, 2 Republican state officials here actually spoke out against these new rules. Both Georgia's Secretary of State and Attorney General releasing statements saying that the Georgia Election Board is exceeding its statutory authority by even considering these new rules. And Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger saying that they're not going to withstand the legal challenges. In addition to that, dozens of election directors from across the state came out to tell the board, listen, we're 45 days away from the election, and in many counties across the state, the poll workers have already been trained. So trying to basically change their job description at this point is very unrealistic. However, proponents of these new rules, including the 3 Republican members on the board who consistently voted in favor of them, say that they believe